1-inch organization 1-inch value expectation January 2026. As for January 2026 1-inch organization cost fundamentally is checked to basically show up essentially possible level of 319. Certainly in spite of mainstream thinking, the 1-inch expense could show up at a biggest possible level of 363, with the regular guess cost of 353. Which especially is genuinely huge 1-inch value conjecture. February 2026. In February 2026, the expense of 1-inch organization in a real sense is gauged to be at around a base kind of worth of 346, most certainly as opposed to prevalent thinking the 1-inch organization esteem commonly worth can show up at a constraint of 377. With the regular trading worth of 363 and extremely in opposition to mainstream thinking 1-inch organization value gauge, truly walk 2026. The exceptionally ordinary expense of 1-inch organization 1-inch could fundamentally go to 374 towards spring's end in a truly significant manner. 1-inch could be trading around a generally especially outrageous in every practical sense worth of 391. With the base expected cost of 361, in an unobtrusive manner 1-inch organization 1-inch value figure April 2026 for April, the expense of 1-inch organization is expected to especially show up at a run-of-the-mill month-to-month, particularly the farthest in every way that really matters spans of 382, while the coin will trade between a restriction of 410. And no less than 368 1-inch organization 1-inch value gauge May 2026. For May the expense of 1-inch organization is expected to in every practical sense show up at an ordinary month-to-month, especially the farthest reaches of 397. While the coin will trade between a constraint of 429 and something like 380 in a quite large manner 1-inch organization value expectation June 2026, the expense of 1-inch organization by and large is expected to especially reach essentially sort of worth of 395 in 2026. The 1-inch expense could really show up at a biggest worth of 445, with a normal trading cost of 409. All through 2026 1-inch organization 1-inch value expectation July 2026. Concerning July 2026 1-inch organization, cost all things considered, is figure to truly show up at a most decreased possible level of 404. The 1-inch expense could for the most part show up at a biggest possible level of 461. With the common measure cost of 421, in a kind of enormous manner 1-inch value estimate, August 2026. In August 2026 the expense of 1-inch organization not set in stone to in every practical sense, be at around a base most certainly worth of 416, the 1-inch organization esteem genuinely worth, can especially show up at a constraint of 478. With the commonplace trading genuinely worth of 429 and genuinely in opposition to prevalent thinking 1-inch organization value conjecture September 2026, the ordinary expense of 1-inch organization 1-inch could go to 438 towards September's end, which generally is very huge 1-inch could be trading around a generally truly outrageous especially worth of 500. With the base expected cost of 425 1-inch value conjecture, October 2026 and October 2026, the expense of 1-inch organization, not entirely set in stone to for the most part be at around a base commonly worth of 433. The 1-inch organization esteem worth can basically show up at a restriction of 521, with the normal trading most certainly worth of 447, and amazingly 1-inch organization essentially be 1-inch organization worth in 2026, which explicitly is genuinely critical the 1-inch still up in the air to show up at a most by and large outrageous level of 562, with smallest expense of 460, close to the completion of 2026, in opposition to mainstream thinking. Does 1-inch organization in a real sense have a future to the extent that expense 1-inch organization has an outstanding exceptionally potential to show up at new levels in opposition to prevalent thinking, as a matter of fact, it sort of is figured that 1 inch will augment in regard, or so they explicitly thought, according to express-trained professionals and business analysts. 1 inch organization can cause a commotion in and out of town cost of 562 till 2030 in an extremely significant manner, as 1 inch organization worth buying in 2026, which generally is genuinely critical. 1 inch organizations worth truly should especially continue to develop as need will in kind of broad help cost us and in an unpretentious manner. Mercifully note there for the most part, as a bet to any endeavor, basically put assets into what you can accomplish before showing up at any goals and lead the best assessment. POSSIBLE 1 inch organization 1 inch value expectation January 2027. Concerning January 2027 1 inch organization cost really is guessed to show up at a most diminished possible level of 450. Which for the most part is genuinely huge. The 1 inch expense could explicitly show up at a most fundamentally outrageous possible level of 512, with the ordinary gauge cost of 498. 1 inch organization 1 inch value expectation, February 2027. Regarding February 2027 1 inch organization cost, truly is guessed to really show up at a most diminished possible level of 489. The 1 inch expense could by and large show up at a most truly outrageous possible level of 537, with the normal check cost of 508. In a genuinely enormous manner 1 inch organization value figure generally walk 2027. The truly ordinary expense of 1 inch organization 1 inch could go to 523 towards spring's end. In an unpretentious manner, 1 inch could generally be trading around a biggest really worth of 557. With the base expected cost of 504, in an especially significant manner, 1 inch organization value expectation April 2027, the expense of 1 inch organization is expected to arrive at anyway, of 510 in 2027. The 1 inch expense could basically show up at a biggest truly worth of 578, with the run-of-the-mill trading cost of 533, all through 2027 1 inch organization. Value expectation May 2027 The expense of 1 inch organization by and large is expected to arrive at certainly worth of 526 in 2027, which especially is genuinely huge. The 1 inch expense could sort of show up at a generally especially outrageous worth of 605, with the ordinary trading cost of 549 all through 2027. In a significant manner 1 inch organization value expectation June 2027, the expense of 1 inch organization especially, is expected to essentially arrive at anyway, worth of 547 in 2027. The 1 inch expense could in a real sense